Hello, welcome to 5-2. Today we're going to study adding and subtracting with unlike denominators. Our goals for today is that you would be able to add and subtract fractions with unlike denominators. And then we also have another goal of finding a common denominator before you add or subtract. Let's get started. Alright, so our first method is we're going to find a common denominator by multiplying the denominators. This would work if you have lower numbers. This would be a good strategy to use. So again, we cannot add two pieces of pie, one pie that is cut into 10 pieces, and one pie that is cut into 8 pieces. They're not the same size. We can't add them together. So we have to make them or cut our pies or pizzas into the same amount of cuts. So one strategy I can do is I could multiply. I'm going to use a different color here. I'm going to multiply the numerator and denominator by the opposite number. So I would multiply 9/10 by 8 over 8. And I would multiply 7/8 by 10 times 10 times 10. So if I rewrote this looks a little messy here. Let's do 9/10 minus 7/8. Okay, so I'm going to multiply by 8, multiply by 8, multiply by 10, multiply by 10. That's a little clearer. So as you can see, I'm just multiplying by the opposite denominator, because then that will get me to 9 times 8 is 72 over 10 times 8 is 80 minus 7 times 10 is 70 over 8 times 10, which is 80. Now we have our pies cut into the same amount of pieces, so I just have to say what's 72 minus 70. Luckily, that's easy to do. 2, and our denominator is still the same. They're still the same size of pieces of pizza or pies. So 80, we still have it cut into 80 pieces. Now I see that this can be written into simplest form. Some of you on the test forgot to do this, reduce it. I know I can divide them by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 80 divided by 2 is 40. So my answer would be 1/40. So again, the strategy was just multiply the denominators. 10 times 8 is 80. To get 10 to be 80, I'd have to multiply by 8. To get 8 to be 80, I'd have to multiply by 10. Making sure we do that to the numerators as well. We can't just change the number of slices. We have to also multiply the number of pieces we're eating by that same number. Okay, so if we multiply the denominator by a number, we also have to remember to multiply that numerator by a number. That same number. All right, second problem here. It says add or subtract, write each answer in simplest form. Again, simplest form. Use least common denominator form. So that would be finding our least common multiple, which we have just done. So 10 is 2 times 5. 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. We don't really have a whole lot of overlap here. 2 times 5 times 2 times 2. If I brought these down. So 10 times 4 or 40. Okay, so I know that the least common multiple is 40. So what do I multiply 10 by to get it to be 40? I'd multiply by 4. So I have to do the same to my numerator. Minus 7/8. What do I have to multiply 8 by to get it to equal 40? I would multiply it by 5. Multiply by 5. So now the new problem I'm working with is 9 times 4, or 36, over 40, minus 7 times 5 is 35, over 8 times 5, or 40. So 36 minus 35 is 1. Our denominator stays the same, 1/40. So really you can choose whichever way you want to. If we use the least common denominator, it would cut out that last step of having to simplify, because we've already simplified by just finding our least common denominator. So that's an option for you to do. Please make sure you get both of these options written in your notebook. It'll be great to have when you're taking your test and you might forget about least common multiple or least common denominator. What do I do if they don't have the same denominator? Hopefully not, but it's always good to get this written into your notes. All right, let's do a couple more problems. Okay, so this one, we're doing the same thing, adding or subtracting, but we first need to find our common denominator. Now, 3 and 5, very quickly, I know they both go into 15 because you multiply them together. I'm going to use method 1 for this, where I'm going to multiply my denominators together. So, if I have 1/3 plus 1/5, I'm going to multiply by 5, do it to the numerator. Multiply by 3 and do it to the numerator. You can see I just took the opposites and multiplied it by that number. So now I'm working with 5/15 plus 3/15. Well, 5 plus 3 is 8/15. And we cannot simplify that because 8 is even, 15 is odd. They do not have any common factors. So that would be our answer, 8/15. Right, so now for this one over here, I know that 3 goes into 9. That would be finding our least common denominator. So if I take 1/3 minus 2/9, all I really have to do, you guys, is make this 3 and 9. I'd multiply it by 3, multiply it by 3, and now I have 3/9 minus 2/9. They're common. I did nothing to this one because it was already had the denominator I wanted it to have. So 3 minus 2 would give me 1, and my denominator stays the same. So 1/9 is my answer for that one. Not too bad. Let's try one more. All right, 5/12 plus 1/6. I think the same thing's going to happen here as what happened with the last one. Plus 1/6. Okay, so I know 6 can multiply to be 12, so I'm going to multiply 6 by 2. Do the same to the numerator. So now I have 5/12 plus 2/12. Again, I did nothing to this number, so we don't always have to multiply both fractions to get a common denominator. Sometimes we only have to do it to one fraction. So 5 plus 2 is 7. My 12, my denominator, is going to stay the same. So my answer is 7/12. I know that's my answer because 7 is a prime number. And so that is it. We're all done. I'm hoping that this will go pretty smoothly with your quiz questions, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching.